So we met in Chicago at the People's Summit a couple months ago, and you were basically telling me that Flint is still fucked. And has anything changed since then?
Nope. I think maybe one more house has its pipes fixed, which brings us up to 34.
And why, of, I'm assuming, hundreds of houses, thousands, I don't know, that need new pipes, is only 33 been fixed?
Well, there was the Fast Start program, which wasn't a very fast start. And
what was the Fast Start program supposed to
It was
be?
supposed to change the lead line houses in 500 homes.
Okay.
And so what happened was they did the first round of houses, and then they had to send out a new round of bidding, and they wanted all the bids to be under $5,000. Well, unfortunately, didn't end up being the case. The lowest bid was $6,500. So another round of bids went out, and they've actually awarded some contracts now, and they're trying to get those crews out on the street and start tearing up some lead pipes and getting, fresh new ones put in the ground.
So these contracts, though, is this basically the federal government is trying to get private contracts to put in new lead pipes?
No, the city is.
The city?
It's the city.
Okay.
The city is in charge of getting the contractors together and whatnot.
But it's public money paying for the pipes? Okay.
It is.
And basically they were haggling to try to get the best price.
Exactly.
I see. Which has essentially made the Fast Start program the Turtle Start program. Okay. So for the families and the houses that don't have new lead pipes, nothing has changed. So when everybody was down here, the EPA, all that, for them, they're still getting undrinkable water, in some cases, in a lot of cases, rashes, all these things. They're still essentially living in the same thing they were a year ago.
A little worse, because our one of our statuses ended on the 14th. That was the...
What does that mean, your statuses?
The emergency declaration.
Okay.
We were in a declared state of emergency, and as a result, we were able to bring in state and federal emergency funding.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we've never been able to get the disaster declaration that we really need to mobilize forces like the Army Corps of Engineers in order to bring in a whole bunch of engineers whose job it is to rebuild infrastructure.
And what constitutes a disaster? Kids getting brain damage? Why can't you get it?
The technical holdup on it is the language of it. So they want to say that since it wasn't a natural disaster, since it was a mindful disaster through undemocratic processes, we have no disaster status being given. We are denied that because a flood or something natural has not happened.
So in English, the State Regulatory Board is saying it's not a disaster because calling it a disaster would cost more money.
Correct. Because they'd have to alleviate more funds, they'd have to give out more time and effort and energy into Flint.
So it seems like the response is normal bureaucracy as usual, and not treating it as a crisis.
Which is why we've been really wanting the disaster status rather than the emergency status. So while our Senate and Congress have decided to go off for summer vacation, they have left that on the floor, and it was held up by Representative Mike Lee. So, that's great that they get
Utah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean he held it up?
He put a hold on the bill.
To change it to disaster?
To send emergency aid to Flint in general.
And what was his reason?
That because it was a state-made problem, it was the state's duty to deal with it.
Oh, Jesus.
You see scars, you see a sort of lost look in people's eyes. For me, I've got a little bit of a lag now. Sometimes I have to stop and gather my thoughts.
Kind of like a cognitive brain fog kind of thing?
It's really frustrating. It's like everything else works. It's just there's that little lag there. There's just something that ain't right. So this is the water plant that started putting out water when it wasn't safe to be drank or treated. There's an intake from the Flint River shortly a while back there. And this plant's had a ton of different issues. So what year was it? 2013? 2013. There was an emergency manager that came in and took control over the city of Flint. One of the ways that they decided to save water was by canceling our contract with the city of Detroit to provide water and switching to an alternate water source, which was the Flint River. Now, this wasn't designed to be a permanent switch. It was designed to be a stopgap. There's currently a pipeline being constructed from Lake Huron that'll go across the state to Flint, and it's called the Caragandi Water Authority. So we're waiting on the pipeline to be built, but they decided, okay, well, there's a perfectly good river right there. Let's draw water from it. The problem is you have to take certain steps because river water is more corrosive, especially in industrial areas where there's a lot of runoff. Water is much more corrosive. They didn't put in corrosion control. So what happened was...
And I'm assuming these are old pipes.
Yes, lots of old pipes. In fact, in downtown, some of the pipes are wood. They still have wooden pipelines. Fuck y'all.
You know what helps me with anxiety sometimes? Might not help you, but I take a hot bath with Epsom salt and listen to Coldplay. Could just be me.
Baths are luxury
or you might be
nowadays.
shocked. I don't know if that's a good look or a bad one.
It's I live in Flint and I can't take a hot bath.
Oh, I'm such an asshole.
No, like...
Did you get that on camera? Good.
The issue, though, is with Flint is that it was a direct decision to not install the corrosive controls to save profit, to try and run state like a business. And those titanic failures were brought to us by our lovely Governor Snyder.
But Republicans say just run the country like a business. You mean that doesn't work out?
Wouldn't be in this situation if that was the case.
So tell me what we're looking at here.
This is one of the hydrants here in Flint. We actually have a hose hooked up to it. It's running out into the street, and it's continually wasting water and flushing it out just in order to get the water in the pipes underground flowing. Because there's so much stagnant water that they have to literally force the water to move by just opening up fire hydrants and letting them run.
Why is there so much stagnant water?
Because the population has dropped that much. We've got the infrastructure for a city of 250,000 and we're down to 100,000 people.
And how do we know this water is going into pipes that are clean?
We don't.
I just want to hammer that home for people because I don't think they understand. Right now, people are drinking this water, many people, and you don't know if it's still poisoning you.
Correct.
And that's not considered a disaster. We were talking about that before. That's not to disaster levels because it was not natural, it was man-made.
Correct.
And what is their estimate when the guessing game will be over and you will know that the water is drinkable?
We don't have an estimate.
So basically this is kind of like, you live in Flint, shit out of luck.
This is life in Flint.